right, welcome back to the Kingdom Point of View. We here today with our lovely audience members and those who paying attention just as well as on the call. Young fellas, it's good to see you again, Mr. Edwards. Yes, sir. Mr. Butler, good to see you just as well. Y'all guys are definitely bringing it here, and I know y'all got a lot to talk about as usual. We got the guys here on the panel, but let's see what's taking place. Since we up here and we socializing a little bit, we switch it up sometimes, give everybody an opportunity. Anybody want to bring something before the audience or anything want dialogue, maybe to help those, along the way, along with many other topics we have?
Yes, I would like to pose a topic that we would have discussion today as we just talking and having dialogue with our audience as well as ourselves.
Yes,
but definitely want to just have a conversation. A lot of Dr. Miles Monroe studies and workers on understanding your potential as well as your purpose. I think that will never get old. So I would like to just expound and have an open conversation about the importance of walking in your purpose and even finding your purpose and also identifying your potential, because some people don't figure that thing out till later on, but I just want to deal with it with somebody who may be dealing out there, who may watch this later, who may be dealing with their purpose and trying to find their potential and some of the indicators maybe so I just want to have an open dialogue about purpose and potential, and even some examples of how we understood our purpose and our potential.
Yeah, that's true, absolutely. Because you said it right. Definitely. There's a lot of study on Miles Monroe, as we talk a lot, just as well as many other books. But you're dealing with certain what is called in the word the keys of the kingdom. So your potential. I remember one of them lessons that was discussed. That what we all talked about before, about he called it hidden potential. Okay, and it was called hidden potential. The example that was given, that's what we'll say for everyone who's listening, well, paying attention, is always like the seed parable. The tree, so the tree is inside the seed.
Indeed, yes.
But you don't see this tree.
Indeed,
okay?
Indeed.
And until one example that he used in one of those discussions, he said you can have a seed sitting on a windowsill for 50 years, and the tree won't never come out. So a lot of times that's how we are. We have the potential in us, but we don't really know who we are. That's how the accepting who Christ is, being connected with God, allowing the Holy Spirit to activate, kind of reveals those type of things when you mentioned about purpose and potential, because they all tied. So taking that seed, example so far, knowing that tree is inside of it, it doesn't recognize it, from a visual standpoint of those who watching the seed, but as it begins to grow and develop, stay in its course. He said you could take that seed off that windowsill after 50 years and put it in soil and water it, and here comes the tree. And so I just want to briefly just say that from a good example from what I know in that particular study, along with many other things, allowing us to just dialogue openly. But just give an example to those who may be listening just as well to know that it's inside of you. A lot of times the world perspective has taught us it's outside of you. You're looking somewhere else, but God has hid it inside of all of us. And it has to be activated. And it has to be activated in the sense of saying, using like don't covet your neighbor things.
Oh yes.
See, because you can be so busy watching others till you won't even recognize yourself. And you'll start to measure yourself based on success, thinking that since you don't have what they have, that you have less. But the banana is never like the watermelon, and the watermelon ain't never like the apple. And so there's so many other things that we could continue to say from that perspective. But that's kind of what I know from foundational about that, as we can continue the dialogue. But that's where I'm at right now, Minister. What you got for us?
Like on the Kingdom Point of View, and many times before, how you just said something that activated something from the inside. When you were saying that something has to happen in order for that seed to grow or you to know your full potential.
Correct.
Now, the first thing came to my mind was Samson. In the Bible, talking about Samson. Samson did not know the type of strength he had until one day he was walking alone, and it says that a lion came upon him. And then when the lion came upon him, he said something rose up on the inside of him, and it activated his strength. Then once it activated his strength, not only was he able to defeat the lion, but it say that he tore his mouth wide open. Like, I mean, literally just tore him apart.
All right.
But prior to the lion coming into his path, he thought he was just something regular. He was just a regular human being. But we also know that now that I'm talking about, if we go back, and I like this, that I didn't pay attention to later on until the Flintstones.
Yes, sir.
Now, you remember Barney Rubble,
All right.
and his wife had a child.
All right.
Well, they adopted a child.
Okay.
And when they adopted the child, it was a little boy. And they didn't know what they give him the name at that time until one day he grabbed something that was heavy.
I got you.
And when he grabbed it, he was able to pick it up and just went to just bamming it. And then that's how they came up with his name, Bam Bam. And he used to be able to, like Fred and all them, know how strong the little boy was until he was able to just come along and just pick something up that a man couldn't even pick up. But there was a little baby crawling, and he was able to pick up the sofa, pick up rocks, pick up anything, and hold it with one hand. And they were realizing this little baby got some strength beyond his size. So what we want to know, to come back to the practical side, is sometimes you can look at someone and try to measure what their potentials are by the outside of their look.
How about that?
And like I'm gonna try to use like my son as an example. My youngest one, he's the smallest and he's the youngest.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, he's the strongest. He's the fastest out of the three. And not only that, he didn't realize his potential until we put him in a certain situation, and that's when we knew his strength. And we knew, but he always used to look at himself and measure himself up against his brother and his sister because they was taller, they was, they did a little more things than him. But until he realized it's not about the size.
That's it.
It's the dog on the inside of it, the heart, that seed. Like we know that the seed, you don't know what type of seed it is until it starts to grow. Meaning that if the package was to fall apart and someone come along and they see a seed on the ground,
that's it.
But what they have to do in order to know what type of seed it is, all they got to do is plant it.
I got you.
But we also know that it has to be planted in good soil.
That's it.
Because see, you just go plant it in some of the dirt around here, that red dirt that we're in Georgia, that some of that dirt, it is not going to produce. But if you get some of that good soil, that's it. And that's like us, like anyone that they can say that somebody that lives in the hood, or they live and it's coming from a trailer park, they coming from a low income environment.
That's it.
But society would say that they don't have any potential.
That's true.
But we know too many success stories where a person came from poverty,
that's true,
gang-infested neighborhoods, drug dealers, they seen all that.
That's right.
But they made it up in their mind.
That's it.
I'm better than my environment.
That's it.
See, that's something we got to understand, that we need to know about this kingdom point of view. And even just anyone that's listening, or anyone like in the audience, they got to understand that each one of these guys that's standing up here right now, we came from something that we did not know our full potential.
Absolutely.
Like Ms. CHACHI was saying, that we don't know our full potential until you put into a certain situation, because we can go against, well, how can I say, we can join something because we see the majority is doing it.
Correct.
Then we'll think that that's how it's supposed to be. But when you start, something on the inside going to activate that say, hold on, it's something that I'm not getting fulfilled, that I'm different than everybody else. See, sometimes a person can understand that they're different, but people will try to tell them that something wrong with them because you're different than everybody else. You ain't doing what we do. Something wrong with you. But in reality, you are an individual. You're not going along with the masses. You set your own path, And especially if you got the revelation and you have got God is speaking to you and telling you what your purpose is, and you tap into what your potential is. See, everybody need to understand that you must ask the Lord, why am I here? What is my purpose?
You want something, man.
And once you learn that,
You want something. You got some on that, Mr. Butler?
Definitely. As you guys are speaking, and I think back to what you were speaking about that seed and understanding your potential. I think about different people like Walt Disney, who were fired as a cartoonist because they said he wasn't creative enough. And sometimes people get deterred in a lot of things. They get caught up in life, and Ed was talking about. They get caught in different things. They don't know the strength that they carry. And so the enemy a lot of times is able to plant seeds and to detour you, because the enemy believes that detour will take you off the path. But good thing we know that the Bible tells us in Jeremiah 29:11 that I know the plans that I have for you. Plans to prosper, not of evil. So we know that God has something inside of it. Every one of us, He put something inside of us. Dr. Miles Monroe put it simply. He says that He put it in a place that you could not miss it, which was inside of you. I love the example you gave about the seed and the fact that the moment you put it in water and you put it in dirt, something is activated. But if it's sitting in the windowsill, it'll never reach its potential. And so many people that we know out there, they never reach their potential. They never get off the windowsill. They go to the grave as potential and never get an opportunity to walk in the purpose that God designed for them. So their life dies short of the purpose that He had for them. And so what we want to do is to find out, understand our purpose. And a lot of times we go through things that are traumatic, different things happen in life, people weren't there, and not to minimize anybody's experience at all, but these things happen, and so it made people say, I cannot become what I'm supposed to. Even after that, God knew that certain things we would go through, and certain trials we would have, and certain issues that we would have to face, but He also still knew that the potential was there, that you could still grow. You know, we talk about, a lot of times we talk about Tupac, he talked about the rose that grew from the concrete. And so, but because it still has something, it still is going to produce something. And sometimes that's even with us. We go through different things, and a lot of times you can get frustrated, and we can get all discombobulated about whatever your purpose is, because it don't seem like it seems like it's not going to come to pass because of all the obstacles that you're facing. And I think sometimes as believers, as kingdom citizens, we have to constantly reiterate that to people, the importance of understanding, still reaching further and finding your potential, because God created you to do something. Everything in the world has a purpose, from the snake to the tree, to the trees give our oxygen, the ocean. If the ocean ain't the same, if the ocean doesn't have the wave, the gravitational pull of the moon, if the earth moves 1 degree, everything has a purpose. God didn't create anything without putting a purpose in it. It was created with some function. If you find a pen, it was created to write something. If you go somewhere, you see a sofa set, it was created to be sat on. God created us with something inside of it. You're not just a blank slate that happened to be here. You ain't mom and dad a mistake at the lake. You are somebody that when God thought of you, you had destiny, you had purpose in you. He put it in, He placed it inside of you, because only you can do it. You can take a basketball right now, you can give it to me. I was not purpose. My purpose on earth was not to play in an arena, but to get a ball in a barrel. He's in His purpose. And so you have to find out, understand, what did God give uniquely to me? What is my purpose? What did God call me to do? One of my purposes is mentoring young people and having an opportunity to inspire people and speak to them. But I understand my purpose, and when you understand purpose, it doesn't matter what comes your way, because things are going to happen to all of us. The Bible tells us trials and tribulation that we must have. So there's not finding your potential. There's not living in a utopia where there's nothing going wrong. But the truth is, finding your purpose means that I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep pressing, because there has to be something. And somebody might be saying, how do I know my purpose? Your purpose is that thing that you just love to do. You can't figure out some reason. You just like baking stuff all the time. You always baking stuff. You always writing down recipes. You're always baking. You're always giving away cookies. You might be the next famous Amos. You know, so you don't know, you know. So He's going to tug at your heart a lot of times on the thing that you're called, that you're gifted into doing.
That's it.
For a long time, I didn't want to get started. And a lot of people say, well, I want to do my purpose. I want to walk in what I'm called to do.
I don't have this. We'll give all the excuses that will tell you why you can't walk into it. For so long, I knew the things that I was supposed to be doing, and I wouldn't do it because I'm like, I gotta wait till I get to this amount of money.
There you go.
But God is saying, get started, because we gotta understand that if it's God's will, it's God's will. God will fund His ideas. If you get busy and get started in your purpose, God, you don't know who God will allow to line up with you and start to put things in the path. Next thing you know, you needed 50,000. Now you're down to 5,000, and now you got a surplus. You don't know where it came from, because that's how God does it. And if He's gonna take care of Raven, He'll take care of us. But when it comes to your purpose, I think you don't begin to live until the day you understand why you were put here. What is my purpose? Because again, you were not just mom and dad a mistake at the lake.
Hey, you all are definitely on. That's some other shows that we talked on, but we here now, and I'm gonna use exactly what was said, and what I learned and reiterate, from other shows, those who listen, just as well as in the audience up here on the panel, is that purpose is tied with why. And the reason why purpose is why, because in study, like we said in the Kingdom Principles and different books, Miles Monroe, they talk about once you understand why a thing exists. We said it about, you said it from a position of human beings, and you used the different examples of everything. And when you said purpose, and you said why, and then you said why, because it's automatically in the understanding of purpose is why.
Yes.
So when you want to have a blender, once you know what a blender is for, why is it a blender, then you know how to use it. And so why is always tied with purpose, but the opposite part of it in identifying and becoming into who you are and building your faith first deals with who. The who, what, when, where, and then how. That is the process for finding out who you are, and knowing whose you are is the opposite of why. Why is the last thing you find out when you discovering who you are, and why is the first thing when it deals with purpose. And so in purpose is how, when you use why, is how it's utilized. Why deals with how something is utilized, the why thing exists. Why is it there? And so once we understand that concept, then we begin to know our purpose. And then the things that was pointed out already, what is it that you do normally, unconsciously? You just said, you just writing out recipes for, and you don't even know why, because it was already in a person. So it becomes something that you do with no type of force. You wake up like that. You just walk around, and all of a sudden, just like you speak a lot. All of you all speak a lot. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't know that we would be in this position, one day, but because we do it so naturally, then it becomes like it's an everyday conversation. We have them all the time. For those who listen, we hear on camera, but we also here on the Kingdom point of view to make sure that you have this certain belief, and you can see us and many others commenting and knowing that it's also inside of you. Everyone, what we learned and studied, is a leader, but that don't necessarily mean that you're a leader over people.
That's it.
But we all have something, the leadership in us, and so they make your area of gifting deals with your purpose, and that makes you a leader. The bird gifting is flying, but because its purpose is to fly, it's still a leader of flying, but it's not a leader over you.
That's it.
So everyone has their purpose, like you said, that everything has, because God has created everything for a purpose to help one or the next entity or thing for its purpose going hand in hand. Yes, sir.
So what you're saying is that it's a leader in its area of expertise, which is if you use the bird, would be flight. He's a leader in flight, but he's not a leader of human being.
Absolutely.
So I got you, because he's a leader in his particular field of study, or what he's been called to do. And a bird, we know a bird been called to fly.
That's what
That's it.
And that's the whole point, that understanding that it builds that level of confidence. No matter who it is, no matter what you're doing. I heard Martin Luther King say in one of his speeches, he said that you could be the best shoe shiner. And he said if you can't be the sun, be a star. If you can't be the sun, be a star. If you can't be a tree, be a branch. If you can't walk, crawl. But by any means, do something. Keep moving.
Yes.
And so those things are all tied into the purpose. It's the same statement being made. I heard Steve Harvey say this, but he used dirt first. He said, it's all right for people to talk about you and throw dirt on you, because what you don't know, dirt is soil, and the soil is designed to grow something. And so he was using that metaphorically to understand that it's okay, because you're going to have those adversities. You're going to have those who will persecute you. So all these things ties into what is your purpose. The practical example, once again, in the statement always is why a thing exists when you're dealing with something else. And once you understand the things you do naturally, that is something that is inside of you, because you're going to do it so easy, you're going to mostly think it's nothing.
Exactly.
Most people who have a gift that they do,
Yes.
doesn't even see it as a gift. They say, what are you talking about?
Yes.
That's nothing.
They think it's a part of their normal personality.
It's their normal personality. And those are the things we have to pay attention to when you trying to discover what is your purpose and what is it that you missing about who you are. And most importantly, reiterating some things with you is not looking at someone else to figure out who you are.
Yes.
Now that can be someone who can sing, and you can sing too. So that is fine. But we talking about, like you said, when you got that basketball, you already know that wasn't your purpose. And so those things have to take place too when we out here not seeking significance in things that appears to be valuable to someone else.
Yes.
But once you discover who you are, you're going to become valuable. I also use the fruit sometimes. You like going to the grocery store, even though practically it won't happen, but just follow me in the idea. You'll never see the apple worried about how many people buying a banana. Because the apple already know it's a fruit too.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of time somebody gonna get them too.
Yeah, somebody gonna have apple pie.
They're gonna have to have an apple pie, apple juice, and everything else.
It's my time.
It's my time.
Yes.
And so that's how it is. You got anything else to help with?
Yeah, like I said, once again, that activation,
Yes, sir.
and both of y'all was on it and saying something that was very key. But we also know, even with your purpose, we also know that we have to have patience.
All right.
See, some people try to, like I said, we'll measure somewhere, like I like how you said, if that person can sing and this person can sing, but then they see how that person singing is taking them to certain places, then they get deterred because they be like, well, why I'm not going anywhere? See, we know that it's everything, like you use about the Jeremiah 29:11, that we know that he said, I know. See, how many of us actually are walking in our purpose that God called us to?
All right.
See, like, even like in the study, Miles Monroe was saying about a person that can go to college.
All right.
Meaning that they can go to college and have an idea of, I want to go in this field because they're looking at the money.
All right, man.
And once you're looking at the money, it's a lot of people that are making millions of dollars right now, or even six figures, and they're unhappy.
Yeah.
They're unhappy because they're not in their purpose.
That's it.
Yeah.
They went for the money, the financial gain. See, it's a person that's working at Wendy's right now, not making, that much money, but they so happy.
They happy.
But then you got a person that making big money, meaning that we know right now it's people that making 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, and they're killing themselves.
That's true.
But us that came from nothing to be like, man, if I had that money, nowhere in the world,
That's it.
I'd be miserable. But see, we don't know because you don't have it. See, we can assume what we would do, because until we have it, you don't know what you would do. I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't, that's why you can't speak when you don't know something.
Right.
And then also what we're saying about that to be patient.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about King David.
Okay.
Remember King David when he got his kingdomship,
All right.
meaning that the prophet Samuel came and told their dad Jesse that one of your boys
That's it.
is going to be the king.
Which?
And immediately the dad went for the oldest son.
Oldest. All right.
And the prophet saw the oldest son and said, yes, that got to be him. And when he tried to pour the oil on his head, it didn't pour. And that's when God, the Spirit, had to talk to Samuel and told him, he said, you're looking at the outer appearance.
All right.
He said, but I measured the heart.
That's it.
So that means, and he poured it on the rest of his sons.
That's it.
And he said, now we can't leave. We can't do anything until we find out which one it is, because do you have another son?
All right.
And then they minimized who he was because the job that he was doing.
Because the job he's doing, that's good.
He was out there as the little miserable little shepherd boy.
That's it.
But most people don't realize during them time, the youngest boy, the youngest child, had to do the lowest, basically you had to work your way up like a job. So the tending the sheep and tending the flock, that was the lowest person on the totem pole, meaning that the lowest son or daughter. That's what they had to do.
All right.
So when he came in and they said that the cup started flowing on top of his head. But let's talk to David though. Because see, right after that happened, David did not go from the outhouse to the penthouse.
He didn't.
He had to go through some more teaching. See, sometimes we got to understand about our purpose. Like you said, what comes natural to us. Some of us don't know the gift that we have, like we're saying that we can talk. We can talk about the Lord. We can talk about different things because that's our gift. We got the gift of being able to talk and be able to captivate people and talk to people and not be afraid to be able to be in front of it from one person to 1,000 to 1,000,000.
Right.
But some people cannot do that.
All right.
Once you know your purpose, like I said, what comes easy to you. See, David, once he knew that he was going to be king, it didn't go to his head.
There you go.
See, one thing we got to understand when you're walking in your purpose, you can't get the big head.
That's it.
See, once you get the big head, see, God knows a way of knocking you down. We know it's a saying, be careful of the people that you're stepping on your way up.
Oh, yeah.
Because you might be seeing them on your way down.
That's it.
So we also know that the best way as far as us as men, because see, God created us as men for a purpose.
That's it.
See, that's one thing that we got to understand about purpose is once you come on this earth and you're born as a man, you're born as a leader because one day, hopefully, you're going to have your own family.
I got you.
And once you have your own family, you know that you got to be the one to hold it up. And as a father and as a husband, you got to understand the leadership, meaning that you at the bottom. See, we know that the foundation is the key to any building, any location, any kind of structure. You can go all the way up, but you can't mess with that foundation. See, one thing about walking in your purpose as a man and as a leader and a person that believes in God, and we know that on Kingdom Point of View, that you have to know who the King of Kings are. Because in order for you to know who the King of Kings, see, that's when you can know about your purpose, knowing what you were designed for, knowing why you are here. And we also know you got to study that word. Because see, my Bible tells us, and we know this, the word says that this right here, that if you're not keeping your focus on him, that's why you don't have no peace. Because that word told me, he said, those who keep their focus stayed on him. He said, he shall keep you in perfect peace. Why? Because you trust in him. See, that's where that faith come in. And if you don't have faith, we know it's impossible to please God. So we got to understand that when you're going into your purpose, we all know that you got to have faith.
That's it.
You got to be walking with Christ.
That's it.
You got to be checking in to make sure before you make a decision, make sure. He said, man should always pray. So you better pray to make sure that you're walking in the purpose that he called you.
I got you.
Because you can be walking in something and be miserable at the same time.
All right, Doc. Definitely.
And definitely, I agree with you. You can be, and I like what you talked about. Understanding your purpose. One of the things we have to also take in consideration and bring to an examination about our purpose is don't allow somebody else to minimize it, because they will minimize your purpose when I was growing up as a little boy, I've always been able to speak very well. And people say, you can talk a lot. They say you have the gift of gab. Well, I didn't compare that to being able to shoot a ball. I didn't compare that to somebody who was a scientist or a mathematician who could catch on really fast. And what I found out later, that conversation rules the nation. That if you're going to sit in any business deal, the close any deal, somebody got to be able to speak. Everywhere you go, communication becomes important. But nobody told me that communication was an important thing. When I was a little boy, I remember saying that I wanted to be an NBA commentator. And then I wanted to be a comedian. And then I wanted to be a lawyer. Everything that I was doing was always pointing back to the gift of communication. But when I talked to other people, they said, well, you got a southern drawl and you talk fast. Well, those things can be corrected, but I still had the gift. But I allowed people around me to minimize it and to make it small because that wasn't the gift that he placed in them. I just knew what the gift was when I was a little boy, 11 years old. My grandmother said he's going to be a preacher. He has a head like a preacher. He speaks like a preacher. So somebody identified there was something there, but there was a potential of what I could become. But because that thing was never nurtured, and I didn't grow up in an environment where we had NBA commentators walking in Twins County, being around me, so that thing started to go dormant, and I started to try to capitulate towards things that people told me that you're going to Fort Dallas and you want to major in biology, because had I followed my gifting, I would have did some things differently. I knew that communication and business were the two things that were knocking on my door all the while. Even the year when I took a year worth of else, and I was dating a young lady, and she said, what you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna have my own business. She said, what kind? I don't know, but I'm gonna have my own business. And I went to working at, I started working at Bluebird, but I knew that I was gonna have my own business one day. And I knew one of my gifts was speaking. I just understood that because the reason why I knew business, when I was ever since I was 9 years old, I had sold candy. So I started understanding business. When I was 13 years old, I started organizing, get lawnmower, come to Edinburgh gas for free. I was doing community development then. God is always cultivating what is inside of you. When you get that, you'll look back and say, oh, man, I wish that would have understood. Because I kept listening to people who I call them now dream killers.
There you go.
They're dream killers. Today, they're dream killers. They will crush what God put inside of you. You know you heard it. You know that's what you're supposed to be doing. Mr. Edward talked about people going in jobs and being tired and decided I don't want to do this anymore. One of my good friends, and I'll mention his name in the show because he talks about it in his own story. One of them that was an engineer, my friend named Sean McClendon, who decided to go from being an engineer to doing tutoring in math because he actually loved it. That was what he wanted to do. He understood, this is my purpose. This gives me a fulfillment over the money. And see, that's the important thing, is that whatever's inside of you that is cultivated, and if it's not cultivated by somebody else, you will not get an approval on something they don't understand. It makes sense to somebody when the Wright brothers who own a bicycle shop decide we're going to try something called put a plane in the air. Imagine they would have listened, they would have heard that. Alexander Graham Bell, when he found all the different things he done tried, and now I'm going to create something else. You know, and so we have to have that, Minister Edwards said, the faith, but we got to have the belief system to know, I know what I heard. We have to double down on what we heard, what we hear, what will we do. When I was a little boy, I always lost something that went back to speaking and expressing yourself. And so the church became one of the outlets as a young kid, because you do speeches and we learn. So I was always practicing the public speaking. And so now people see me, they say, oh man, I didn't know you said anything. I didn't even know. Man, I've been doing this for 35 years. And so anytime I say something, it's already been prepared. Because he purposely put me with a voice that's worth hearing. And so when I speak and I say something, it resonates with people because that was, he put that in one of your gifts. He said, I got to give you this voice, just like you gave Tiger the golf club. And so we have to understand that, but I'll never forget that. And those are my own personal example of remembering, saying, I'm my own business one day. What kind? I don't know, but it's going to be something business. And I didn't, because sometimes God doesn't give us all the plans. We show up saying, God, I know I heard you say to come here. I know you told me to do this. And I'm going to be honest with y'all out there in TV land and the audience.
All right, now.
Sometimes God will call you to a place that don't make no sense. And sometimes the whole time you're going, said, God, either I'm going to be looked at as a prophet or a liar. But God, I know I heard you tell me to come this way, this time, to do it this way, to make the move. T.D. Jakes talks about a lot of time, moving from Virginia, West Virginia to Texas, because he heard God's voice say move. And walking in your purpose sometimes, it's not going to make sense to someone else. Stand on it and believe that God, if you told me that I'm going to be printing T-shirts in Miami, that God, you going to walk me in it. And I think once we can understand that, as Mr. Edward said earlier, about understanding the faith and the time what you said about becoming potential, because so many people are going to the grave as potential. Yes. And potential is what you never tapped into. You could have been. You could have been this. That when you get to heaven, it's going to be one of the saddest times when he show you the real of what you could have been, what he prepared for you, opposed to what we actually accomplished. Right. And so I appreciate dialogue and conversations like this, because it pushed even me to want to endeavor more into whatever understanding more in totality. I love the example you gave about the blender. You don't know how to use the blender properly if you don't know what it's used for, because you take the blender and call it a cup. Or it looks like a pitcher to me. You can just take it and pitch the juice in, and it'll never ever operate in the totality of what it was designed to do if you use it as a pitcher. Because it looks like a pitcher, but it does something different. And once you understand, now you put everything in it, and it creates something totally different. You know what it was designed to do. And I think that's what our dialogue is about. It's about trying to make sure that we all, as believers and kingdom citizens, we're able to tap into what he created. Because yes, he put something in you. One of the things a preacher told me one time, and I never forgot it. He told all of us to look at our hand. Nobody has the same fingerprints as you. Nobody on the planet has the same fingerprints as you. And so that's how unique you are to God. And so if he thought enough to put your fingerprint to be different, out of all the human beings, your fingerprint doesn't match anybody else's. Imagine what he thought of when he was creating you, when he thought of you, what you would have in you, what you would become, who you would influence, who you would be able to share his word, how you would make a difference. If you cut the grass, you're still a Christian kingdom man cutting grass, cut the grass into the kingdom. As you gave an illustration about king, I love when he talked about being a street sweeper. And that's the same mentality we have to have on every day, whatever God calls. You may be the best milkman here, but if that's what God calls you to do, you deliver milk from Mayfield like it ain't nobody else can deliver milk. You walk in your purpose. And ain't nothing like seeing somebody, you go to a place and you see somebody who's in their purpose. They may be at McDonald's, nothing wrong with McDonald's, and they may be happy, have a pleasant spirit. But you look at them and you almost say to them, you were designed to be on this road because you make a difference. Sometimes you have a bad day, but sometimes when you see that person, they smile and they're happy. You're supposed to do something in customer service. You're supposed to own your own restaurant or something, but you were designed to be on that microphone and saying, you have a great day, is your order right? They treat you like somebody. So, but that means that their purpose, one of their purpose, they got a purpose, man, of being able to connect to people. We have to, another thing that I want to say is, and also when we see in young people or anybody, when we see somebody with a gift or potential, nurture that, water that. Say, hey man, nobody cut grass like you do. Oh man, when you wash my car, don't nobody do. You want to let people know when you see, especially with children, because children are juggling a lot of different things. Young people are trying to figure out, and when you identify something, say, man, you are good at that. You really are good. You're one of the best at that. That goes a long way. I don't care if you 99 or 100. That goes a long way when somebody tell you one of the best at it, or you do a great job at that. I called you because can't nobody bake that pound cake like you, Mother Smith.
That's it, man. You definitely own it, young man. And that key word, like you say, nurturing it. And definitely have been some great points here on the Kingdom point of view when it comes to that purpose. And there's so many things that we can talk about. And you had some personal experience just as well. And you did mention that in the beginning about a personal situation. And I don't know if we want to expound on how much, but just one of mine, just speaking that in my purpose, when I was younger, my mama had told me, I asked her for $2 to get a slice of pizza. and she told me that she didn't have no money to get me a slice of pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, now you go to work every day, and you don't have $2 to get me a slice of pizza. She said, one thing, she said, that's what I told her. I ain't gonna be like you when I grow up. I ain't going to work for all these different people that ain't got $2. Huh? I'm gonna start my own business. I'm gonna stay at home trying to save me some money and get my own car, get my own motorcycle, my own truck, and then I'm move out. And my mama said what I was doing. I didn't know I had said it. She used to tell him that boy did everything he said he was gonna do because I understood what it was later in life. What I didn't like was people who abuse power.
Yes.
And so knowing that this natural gift of me being detailed in certain things and seeing it in real time, you know, I was at a point where I was talking to someone and they say things to me just like you have, Minister Edward, just as you, Minister Edward and Minister Butler, is that when things are being said, I see it in real time, you know. And it's not that I can't meditate on it more. It's just that meditation happens so fast sometimes. Yeah. And because of that, I realized that it was a gift. And I was told myself that I've been operating myself so long till I don't even notice it. Yes, and so it began to make me understand that I always had to listen more, you know, before I started speaking, because I've been on spoke and understand already some small little component. One of my gifts is it doesn't take much. And I could just take, like I said, a mustard seed. I could take a mustard seed of information and how a person is saying it, when they saying it, and how they saying it, and already conclude where they headed. And I realized later that was a gift, you know, and I respect that gift, and I nurtured that gift, and it manifested even more, and that's what allowed us, you know, be in even a position of being on the Kingdom Point of View to have open dialogue, because I noticed that was something, and being in my profession, you know, even in the hair industry and stuff, people sit in your chair just having conversation every day, and it was normal to me. Yeah. You know, didn't know I was saving lives the way I was until people were saying it. Yeah. And then I said, hey, you know what we need to do? We need to take the show on the road, and maybe we can save some other people beyond ourselves. You know, like we do the Iron Sharpen Iron crew. And for those who listening, this is one of the key components of the purpose, since we on purpose on this show, and we do have you know, other shows on purpose, that the Kingdom Point of View is trying to nurture you. That's because we are already iron sharpening iron, nurturing each other. Indeed. And so the whole concept from a foundational part is to deliver the purpose of nurturing those who may be, as Minister Edward has said, has a lack of faith or low level of faith. We want to build it up. We want to show you that any conversation, any type of dialogue, these type of shows and conversations, that there are many others that are dealing with the same thing. And it's all about your belief system. Once you believe and truly and trust in God, like Minister Butler said, and all of us have collectively said, that when you believe in God, it will activate. It will activate, and you got to stay anchored in that and consistent in that. But faith is definitely the foundational thing, and having faith in the Word of God. Because I learned that too in study. It says that faith come by hearing the Word of God, which also means that your faith can be in something else other than the Word of God.
Yes, it can.
Yeah. Yes, sir, Mr. Evans. You got anything else before we close out a little bit?
You know, y'all don't. Good. Yeah, like I said, it's still some more meat on where we.
But I want to say I appreciate the dialogue, and I appreciate the studying that we do, as well as the pushing each other, because so many people don't have a platform where they can work and push each other with the day-to-day cares of life and all of the things that people go through, but to actually have a place where iron sharpens iron, and that we're able to talk in a language that people around us, our peers and other people that we love, can actually hear this and understand, you know, because people are battling with their purpose. People are trying to figure out, do I quit the job? Do I stay on the 9 to 5? How long I'm going to wrestle with that? So I think all of this is necessary, and even as we continue to dialogue and to purpose, I feel like we can never talk about it enough, because we don't know what somebody may be, our audience may be watching at another time and hear exactly where they're at and speak exactly where the place they're at. So I appreciate it, because every time I come here, I'm growing, and I appreciate that, and it helps me to continue my walk even in my purpose. So I'm appreciative of today, but all the days. But I'm appreciative of having other brothers who are scholarly and who are striving to have a better understanding of why we're here and to make use of the time that we have here on earth.
Say it again. Why we here?
Why we're here and making usage of the time that we have on earth, that we don't waste it.
Absolutely.
Okay, now, even with that, like I said, about purpose. See, one thing we gotta say, it just hit me just now, about being a father. In the Bible, we know in the Old Testament, the father always told the kids their purpose.
I got you.
So now we gotta come to the New Testament, and the Father, which is our Father in heaven,
All right, Doc.
it can tell us our purpose. Meaning that even if somebody out there now that say, I don't have an earthly father, or he's not in my life,
That's it.
go to that word of God.
All right.
Hit your knees in prayer. That's what we're learning on the Kingdom Point of View about staying in the word, learning your purpose, and what comes, like Dr. Miles Monroe said, what comes easy to you. What, like I said, what are you willing to do for free?
That's it.
That's what you'll find your
Close
purpose.
that.
Meaning that, what do you used to fantasize? Remember, and I like how they said that back in the day, we used to have daydream.
Yeah.
And they used to talk about little kids that used to fall off in daydream. They say, oh, you ain't going nowhere, you ain't focused. But in reality, they was finding their purpose in the daydream.
Definitely.
Like in that daydream, it was showing you what you was going to be and what you wanted to be. Meaning that, and then you have to put in the work.
Definitely.
One thing that I'm learning, even with my youngest son that want to play football, he's putting in the work.
I got you.
And putting in the work, like we don't talk about is about when you're working out and you're trying to lose weight. We know that this is a lot of people out there right now trying to cheat the system.
I got you.
And what I mean cheat the system, like a lot of these young people, even older people, they living in a microwave era.
Gotcha.
They want everything right now.
Right.
They want it now. It going to the air fryer. You mean that I just hit a button, 10 minutes. I want my chicken done, and I want it, without the grease, and versus I got to put the grease on the stove. I got to wait till it heat up. I got to put the flour in there, see if that bubbles up. Then now I can put my chicken in there. See, we don't have to go through all them steps that we used to go through back in the day. We were in the fast food era. I just pull up. I tell them. And one thing that I'm learning, I had to teach my kids this: fast food and a sit-down restaurant is not the same.
I got you.
Fast food, meaning I pull up to the speaker and ask, and I want my food. I want it number one, supersize it.
Gotcha.
And from there to me paying, to me going to the second window, is already ready.
Yeah.
And some people take that same mentality when they go into a Longhorn or go into these restaurants, they got to sit down. See, when you go in there, you order your menu off the menu, the waitress go to the back, give the menu to the people. Now they got to literally sit up there and they got to cook it to what your order is saying. It depends on how many people at the table is how long it's going to take. Because see, you might want yours medium, you want yours medium well, and then the other person want theirs well done.
I understand.
So that means yours gonna get done faster, yours gonna be the second fast, then now we gotta wait on them. Well, you sitting there impatient. Then my food taking too long. But then you don't know how many orders went before you. Here we're gonna go about even the word of God. Yes, you prayed.
All right.
Yes, you did this. Yes, I know my purpose, like David. Don't mean you finna get it right now. Can you be patient? Can you have the faith that you say you have? Because see, faith, like I said, faith come by hearing the word of God. The word told me that patience. He told me also that the race is not given to the swift, but the strong, but the one that can endure.
To the end.
Come on now. So if you're not willing to endure,
That's it.
then you're not going to get your purpose. Because we know that it don't happen overnight.
Right.
But he can.
All right.
We know that he's the author and the finisher of our faith, meaning that he's writing the story.
Gotcha.
But if we don't ask for our purpose, and we don't walk in our purpose,
Gotcha.
like I said, that Dr. Miles Monroe said, the greatest wealth, meaning he said the richest place in every city.
Where is that?
Is the graveyard.
Graveyard. All right, Doc.
And he said the graveyard because, like Butler was saying, that the potential is a lot of people go to the grave with books never written.
That's what he said.
Business never formed.
That's it.
Disease of cures never got, because the people did not find their purpose and their potential. They settled. I never forget, I was in the 7th grade. I was in band.
All right.
And they was asking, what instrument do you want to play? Mm-hmm. And I said, I want to play the saxophone. I don't know if the teacher was racist or not, but I'm going to take it like that. You know, at that time, I'm 7, I didn't realize it. She said, your lips too big. I said, my lips too big? She said, yes, your lips too big to play the saxophone because you got to hold, and they need only for the small lip people. But here go the trombone. And then as I got older, I realized because I had long arms, they wanted me to play the trombone versus the saxophone is right here. See, they needed somebody with them long arms to get out there and play them notes. So sometimes we got to understand that there's people out there that we, like in study, don't tell everybody what God has told you. Because, see, they're not going to see the vision.
I got you.
Right? So if God gave you the vision, don't tell the wrong people. Because they, like I said, they call dream killers.
Yeah.
But don't tell them, let them, I tell my kids, and we know this, is let your actions speak louder than your words.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You all are on it, definitely 100%, and definitely walking here on this purpose. I'm gonna close it out like this for everyone. Just like this, another one of my gifts is just like this right here to be evident. Mr. Butler on the other show on purpose that they haven't even seen yet. His statement was this how you know when you walk in your purpose, because like I say, I'm very detailed. I always say on him a very good listener, but I got an impeccable memory.
Indeed, yes you do.
And so Minister Butler asked and made a statement in purpose before with the other audience members last year. You said, well, what if a person already is on the job, making money, but want to actually do something else, but he afraid? And when he was speaking, he was talking about a personal experience at the time to where in his business of fireworks, he was already making money, but he was trying to figure out how could he do something else because of the time and the money was good. And so what do a person do when the money is good and their purpose is still on their heart? And we had a very good discussion on that on purpose just as well that the viewers, you all will see one day. And that was good too, and that's why a lot of the subjects and topics that we talk about is always, as we say on the Kingdom Point of View, meat on the bone. But I just wanted to bring that back and showing that how having when you're walking in your purpose, it becomes simple to me. You know, and that's Minister Butler, and you just well as Minister always tell me, it ain't simple to me, but that's just how it works sometimes, and it comes, like you say, we get activated, and that's how it is when the iron sharpen iron is going. But definitely dealing with purpose, we definitely want to stay within your purpose, having that faith, and you'll know that when you're walking in your purpose, do not allow others to discourage you, as we all been saying today, because sometimes they can be dream killers. But one thing about when you walking in something that you love to do, and especially if it's lined up with the Word of God, and that's what we're talking about, that you will do it with ease, and it will not actually have you as tired as something else. Till time will go by so fast that they'll tell you that you need to stop, and you won't even know that time don't went by. And that's how purpose is, just like here on the Kingdom Point of View, as we continue to talk over and over. But until next time, we'll see you again on the Kingdom Point of View.